Hello everybody and welcome back. Total OS today is Total Technology for Newbies. Well, it's been a while since I've done one of these Comments Corner type of videos. Comments Corner is basically where I pick a random video and I just comment on your comments. I know there are sometimes I might receive a flood of comments or a lot of comments. I try to reply to all of them, but I know I miss a few here and there. If I don't reply to your comment, I apologize. But this is a Comments Corner, and basically I just take a look, I pick some random comments and I reply and expand on my comment, my reply to those comments. So let's take a look at one of the videos I did. This is why Windows users cannot switch to Linux. Okay, why Windows users can't switch to Linux is a misleading title when obviously they can and do. True, some do. This was just my opinion on why some people don't. Okay, then there's a conversation here about when Windows was free, and some of you replied here, well, Windows is not free unless there's some kind of a promotion going on that I'm not aware of. But let me go ahead and scroll down some more. Okay, it doesn't matter which operating system the users use because the system is a tool to help people finish their work. If they think Windows is better, we should not be against their view. If they want to try Linux, we should help them. I wrote down cool, and really to expand on that, it's a very nice sentiment, very nice comment, and I totally agree. Okay, there was a comment here. I watched Caddy's video too, and he always makes me laugh. I think this refers to the review he did, and Russ, correct me if I'm wrong if you see this, but I think he did a review on the latest GNOME shell. GNOME was it 3.8 or 9, and he wrote something like GNOME 3.8 review still shit or something like that. I just cracked up laughing. But anyway. Okay, if you are a Windows user but want to try Linux, but you don't want to install it on your Windows drive, if you have an old hard drive laying around, just unplug your Windows hard drive, plug in the other hard drive, install a Linux of your choice, let it boot up. After install, shut down and replug the Windows hard drive. Make the Linux drive the default drive, and the bootloader will find out that you have Windows on the other drive. You can certainly do this. This may be a bit much for a dummy or a newbie trying to learn Linux for the very first time. Okay, let's see. Linux isn't free. Free is just free beer speech. You still have to give credit and contribute back. Yeah, that sounds about right. Okay. Regarding the title, I was a Windows user for 16 years and had no problem switching to Linux. I've now been a 100% Linux user for over 4 years. I don't dual boot or run Windows in a virtual machine. Ubuntu is better than Windows. It just works better. There's no worrying about viruses and files corrupting. Amen to that. So far, I don't have to worry about viruses in Linux. It's just worry-free computing. I'm not sure about worry-free computing. You still need to worry about random bugs. Let's see, now that Steam is on Linux, there's no longer any valid excuse to use Windows. Well, I have to use Windows. There are some things that I have to use Windows. I don't have a choice. But it sounds like Linux is working very well for you, and that is terrific. All right, let's see here. As someone who doesn't use Windows anymore and quite frankly can't stand it or anything to do with Microsoft, I am, however, sort of glad they are around and produce what they do. Why? Because I agree that they set a benchmark in terms of quality for Linux distros to match or exceed. I agree that Windows 7 is a good standard to aim for. However, would you say the same for Windows Vista? Well, in the beginning, no, Windows Vista was not ready for prime time. However, later on, with all the updates, Windows Vista does work. I actually installed Windows Vista, an old machine I had. I had the original update disk, the starter version. It seems to work pretty good. But overall, I would pick Windows 7 over Windows Vista. Okay, scrolling down a few more. I saw your recording and I agree with your answer, but if Linux developers want to create something better and powerful than Windows, then they should create a better standard so that people all over the world can easily use free open source operating systems. And if this happens, people won't have to rely on Windows OS all the time. Well, the strength of Linux is the multitude of choices that you have, whether something light, medium, or heavy. Ironically, the strength is also its weakness because there is no standardization of quality among the hundreds or maybe thousands of different Linux-based operating systems that are available. My current Linux default desktop is Ubuntu 12.04. Okay, the title doesn't make any sense. Everybody started as a Windows user. Please don't tell me your parents had Linux or your school. I don't think they had Linux, no, but I'm not sure if everybody started in Linux, but I mean in Windows, but I suppose a lot have. Okay, there are so many great and stable Linux distros out there that make Linux great. Just to name some: Zorin OS, Pingai, Ubuntu, Lubuntu, Ubuntu, Linux Mint. I would have to agree. If people have been using Windows for a very long time, they will stick with Windows. They have everything working in Windows. Why do they need to switch? People don't have the will to learn something new and better. Well, I think in some situations they may have the will but not the patience. I think one of the benefits of a channel like mine is I've done a lot of the legwork in trying out both the good and the garbage when it comes to Linux, and trying to narrow it down to certain releases that I won't say bug-free, but as glitch-free as possible. So if you are somebody new and wanting to try something with Linux, hopefully the one that you try will be stable, and maybe just what you're looking for in terms of an alternative or just something to play around with. Okay, let's see. What do you think about Windows and Linux coming together? I didn't know they were getting married. And Joseph replied, "God, no, just no, never." Okay, let's scroll down some more. Let's see. I will admit that this is Linux's biggest flaw. I wish there could be a general consortium and everyone pools their efforts to that, but there will always be people who disagree and will go their own way. It's human nature. It's kind of like my girlfriend loves Twilight and I absolutely hate it. Okay, everyone has different opinions, which is good and bad. I would have to agree with that on the opinions. I don't think I've seen Twilight. Nah. Anyway, let's see. Okay, gaming is always my holding point. That and Linux software in general seems to be years behind Windows and Mac as far as look and functionality. Not totally sure the server side stuff is amazing and they are getting there, but still not there on the whole for the home user who uses Windows and someone else wants them to change from Windows. Well, I don't really play any Linux games or not many PC games in general, either in Linux or Windows. But Steam for Linux is definitely a plus. I usually have my Xbox 360 for all of my gaming needs. Okay, I have been using Ubuntu 12.10 and love it, really. Okay, I have tried a bunch of other, and though I like them also, as most are based on Ubuntu, if I could figure out how to use the Ubuntu Linux video making, I would not have to have Windows on the other half of my computer at all. Well, I mean, as far as video making or multitasking with video stuff and video production, I still think Windows has the edge. Kdenlive is probably the premier video editor in Linux, and it still crashes on me every so often. It's there really isn't a rock solid video editor yet in Linux, but I think there's something being developed. I forget what it's called. Light Video, Lightworks. I can't remember. Maybe one of you guys who hear this will let me know. I think it's called Lightworks. Okay, let's do two more, then we'll call this a wrap. Okay, I get angry, upset whenever there's a new distro out there. It's just a big mess. Makes it harder for people to learn Linux. Yeah, I would have to agree. And a lot of people hate that. To most people, the computer is a tool, not a toy. Okay. Then there are so many different distros out there. A lot of people are going to go, are these Linux guys for real? And chances are they are not going to take Linux seriously. There are many, many distros. It can be a big mess, especially for a newbie trying to pick something that'll work. Well, I guess that's why I am here, and I hope I am helpful. And I think I am for most newbies. At least I try to point them in the right direction. Okay, one more. I love Ubuntu version 8.004, really. I don't know why I prefer with the classic version. Okay, you mean the old GNOME 2 look. When you can get the GNOME 2 look with Ubuntu Unity, I believe you need to download the I believe it's in the Software Center, and I believe it's called the GNOME Fallback Session. That would allow you to log out of Unity, choose that, and log into the old look. It's still Ubuntu Unity, but it gives you that classic version look. And in fact, I wrote something here. Linux Mint gives you that classic look also. Well, that's it. If you would like me to do a comments corner on a specific video, a video of mine that you've seen, I'll be happy to consider doing that. But for now, thank you so much for watching, and as always, I will catch all of you sometime in the future.